Shall we begin? Or we have, there's Carol. So this is an online remote meeting of the public meeting of the Brookline Housing Advisory Board, complying with now former Governor Baker's edict. And we'll begin by taking the roll call of our quorum and then adding people as they arrive. Alex Krieger.
Here.
Carol Gladstone.
Here.
Steve Eichen.
Here.
Mike Jacobs.
Here.
Roger Blight is here. So that's 5 staff. Emily DeHogue.
Here.
Are you the only staff that's going to be with us tonight, Emily?
I think Awana's coming.
Okay. So we can begin with a look at the minutes. They were in the packet. Emily and I have been through them. We're very proud of them, aren't we, Emily?
Trying to get to them. Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve?
I saw one thing, which is Maria Maffei's name mentioned earlier was misspelled as M-U-F-F-E-I. I think it's M-A-F-F-E-I.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, also, looking at the minutes, you know, the discussion of the AHOD was postponed. It wasn't postponed till today. I mean, because it's not on today's agenda either. When was it postponed? And I see Jonathan.
Postponed till the second.
We did it at the last meeting.
Oh, did we? Sorry.
2
Short-term
weeks
memory
ago.
not there anymore.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Right. This is our second meeting in July already. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you do remember.
Now I remember. Yes.
Because
We've had 4 in 6 weeks.
you were the number 2 man in the presentation.
Yeah, you think I would remember, but so it goes. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Ooh, I don't know who came first, but
Well, maybe I did with a correction, so
yeah.
call me first.
Okay. Welcome, Jonathan. We took the roll. You've been added. We just are approving the minutes. Are you prepared to vote for the minutes?
First, I'll vote that I'm here. Yes, and I am prepared to vote for the minutes.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, Alex?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So the minutes are approved. The first agenda item has to do with the joint funding of the Walnut High Phase 1 project, with the long saga perhaps coming to an end, a satisfactory end sometime soon. And Amelia Youngstrom, welcome. Amelia and I had a lot of work together in submitting the application for this funding on behalf of the trust jointly. We have a proposed vote. I'm kind of hoping that Bernard will be with us for the vote. I'm going to put the vote up on the screen, or ask Emily to do it at this point. There's as you all remember, I mean, I've been through the saga before with you, or at least the highlights over several years and key points. But at this stage, I've been working recently, particularly with Bernard, we met last Friday as well with the town administrator, because there's an awful lot of players in this, both board and commission people. Some of us or you wearing more than one hat, as well as departments and department heads, including, of course, planning, and also town council and the finance department. There is the need to navigate a satisfactory conclusion here that we think will involve at some point the channeling of the CPA funds as originally applied for and intended through the trust. So we have a brief vote here. As you all know, we're the trustees of the fund, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later on another aspect in this meeting. Everything we do as trustees is a matter of requesting the select board's approval. I'm going to read this very quickly. It's a proposed HAB vote regarding the CPA share of the Walnut High Phase 1 project funding. And it reads, the Housing Advisory Board requests that the select board vote the following with regard to the Affordable Housing Trust's existing 7.5 million local funding commitment to the BHA's Walnut High Phase 1 project total funding. Contingent upon the AHT, the trust's receipt of 3.7 million of previously committed CPA funds and the AHT trust commitment of such CPA funds to the Walnut High Phase 1 project financing in a form satisfactory to the Brookline Housing Authority, that the trust's current 7.5 million commitment of non-CPA funds to the Walnut High Phase 1 project that's not of non-CPA funds be reduced to to 3.75 million. So the result of this vote would be fulfillment of the original application, 50-50 matching funds through the trust, 50-50 between non-CPA existing trust funds and CPA funds. I mean, we've committed for this meeting to be as short as possible, hopefully an hour. So I won't, revisit all of the long saga on this, but certainly open to any questions that members may have on what you're seeing here.
Well, I do have a comment. I mean, as a member of the CPA committee, just this afternoon, I got a copy of the proposed agreement, the grant agreement between the CPA committee and the Housing Authority, I guess, that hopefully is another part of getting this behind us. But I have to say, consistent with the way that this has bugged you for all this time, it does call the Brookline Housing Authority the recipient of the funding. And it says that they applied for the funding. And I went back and looked at the application. And as you've been saying, Roger, the applicant was the Affordable Housing Trust, not the BHA. So, and the only other thing about that agreement that concerns me is that it says, near as I can tell, it says nothing about this parallel agreement that that we would get our funds decommitted from the BHA, so we get them back.
Right.
So I don't know whether that's a major concern or not, but I mean, I do think we should get this behind us. If this works, okay, and we can quit quibbling about the way we got there.
So let me try to answer that succinctly. The original application intended for the town meeting warrant article appropriation, I think it's called, a bundle of CPA fundings to be consistent with the application. But we all know, I think, that didn't happen, and the article ended up being inconsistent and raised not only the inconsistency, but some other legal and technical issues having to do with low-income housing tax credit financing. While there was consideration of revisiting with a corrective to town meeting, that wasn't necessary, and town council proposed a kind of an elegant legal fix to make the application and the town meeting vote to reconcile the two by having a simultaneous assignment by the BHA of its role or rights to the as recipient of the grant, assigning that simultaneously to the trust. And while we kind of got off the track on that for a while, that's basically what I'm understanding that we'll be returning to. So the grant agreement, Steve, would be paired up with this simultaneous assignment to the trust. Now, this doesn't, the vote you're seeing connects the two. It does not prescribe the timing. And that is still to be determined. But this will at least clarify and commit the original alignment that and matched funding that was envisioned.
Okay.
So I'm fine with this wording. Obviously, the grant agreement has to be consistent with this wording. I haven't seen the grant agreement, but Steve's questions, obviously, I would share those concerns. But this wording, I know Sue Cohn and I have both looked at this, and this wording's fine. I don't know if Amelia has any concerns, but this seems to work for me. I don't know if Amelia has any comments or concerns.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Amelia, thanks for coming and joining us. If you do want to comment on this at this point, please join.
Thank you. I don't have any comments or concerns at this point. Thank you for all of your hard work on this, Roger.
Yeah, thank you.
And
for yours
others.
too. Yeah, I think to the extent that that any further documentation is needed from the town's end through the town council's office, my understanding as a result of our meeting last Friday is that will all be worked out, and that the creation of this assignment companion document is quite straightforward. Shouldn't take a lot of time. There had been discussion of whether a third less formal document in the form of some kind of an MOU with our two respective boards and the select board would be needed. I don't know at this point. I think town council will decide that. Any other questions? I will move approval of this vote if there's a second.
Second.
Thank you. Can we bring the photos back of us? So I'll call the roll. Alex Krieger,
Yes.
Carol Gladstone,
Yes.
Mike Jacobs,
Yes.
Steve Hyken,
Yes.
Jonathan Klein,
Yes,
and the chair votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been long and painful.
Hopefully it's going to be either waning or finished at this point. And thank all of you for help, and Sue Cohen as well. So the next item on the agenda has to do with the ADUs. Quick recap. You know, we passed 2 articles last year, and then found after the state issued unexpectedly prescriptive regulations to the law that our compliance with the statute wasn't sufficient. I've read the long, and the AG's Sean is coming in now too. Welcome, Sean. The AG's required response to our most recent ADU bylaw is very, very long and detailed. It first goes through in great detail all of the ways that our most recent bylaw amendment no longer complies, and then beyond that, it identifies all of the additional subject areas where the prior bylaw, before we amended it to comply, also now doesn't comply as well. So it's a complete overhaul that is going to be needed clearly. Ideally in time for this November town meeting to vote on it and get us in compliance. Kara and the department is taking the lead on this. Emily is going to be playing a critical role, right, Emily? You looking forward to all of this?
Yes, with much advisory from the regulatory division.
Right. The planning department has two main roads they've got to go down on this, as Emily just said. the regulatory road, which I think probably Maria Morelli will be again leading with the again valuable assistance from Jonathan Simpson in the town council's office. All that is to say that Kara asked me if the HAB would contribute to this exercise over the coming months by appointing and creating a ADU subcommittee to provide advice. We're not leading the charge on this, but we're going to be there to help with any guidance or advice that were requested. And so I've been responding to that and working to do that. And we did agree that it should be a small, lean committee. So it will be four individuals. And Jonathan Klein, who's expressed great interest in the subject and in this phase of things, and being very meticulous with words as a retired attorney. We couldn't have a better leader of our subcommittee effort. So Jonathan is going to chair the subcommittee. And we agreed that of the four that we would have two HAB members. It's a HAB subcommittee, but as you've known from past experience, doesn't have to be all HAB members. And in discussion with Kara especially, decided that the third and fourth person should be a member of the planning board and a member of the advisory committee. I consulted with Steve, of course, and then Blair Hines, the current chair. Other than having a suitable individual, always good to have a member of a younger generation, but I'm going to back up a step now that we're on the subject of a younger generation member. Our second HAB member is going to be Alex Krieger, who we've spoken with. And Alex, I'm thrilled that you have decided to come on board with this and work with Jonathan, especially. The fourth member, I'm particularly pleased we were able to get her, is Kelly Hardebeck. And the reason is, and I didn't know Kelly at all. I mean, I knew her as a longtime member of the advisory committee until until our 2024 ADU articles that we had to navigate through town meeting. And as you know, we're quite successful in getting near unanimous votes. And a key part of that procedure is the advisory committee takes up these articles through their subcommittees, and then a member of that subcommittee is charged with doing a thorough analysis and helping to channel through and promote it at town meeting. That's where I got to know Kelly very well. She really dived into this subject. She wrote a terrific report, continues to have interest in this subject. So she has agreed to come on for another chapter of this saga. So those are the committee appointees. Any comments or questions?
Is it Steve or Blair that's the representative from the planning board?
Say again?
Is it?
Oh, I'm
Steve or-
sorry. Yeah, I didn't double back on that. Thanks. The fourth member is neither Steve nor Blair, although they both had first dibs at it, of course, from seniority and knowledge. The fourth member is Tom Renkus. His name is Tommy or Tom Renkus. He's a newer member of the planning board. One of the minority who's not an architect. He has some planning knowledge, and he has a law degree. He lives near me by coincidence on Clinton Road, and I had a nice visit with him. But at this point, maybe Steve, you could take a minute and give a little bit further.
I guess he's the planning board's parallel to Alex here on the HAB of a new generation, but he does have both a planning and a law background. Not a ton of experience in either area, but he at least brings those mindsets to this. So I think he'd be a good component of that committee.
Good. And after chatting with him, it's also nice to know he does have time, including during the day. So,
I think that's true.
so that's the point. Good luck, Jonathan.
I've been, I'm fully prepared to do this, but I've also been fully assured that the large bulk of the work here is going to be done by staff. So I'm hoping that I expect and believe that turns out to be true, and that we can really be more in a consultative advise and consent sort of capacity. But I'm looking forward to it, and as you know, I've been very supportive of the ADU changes, and very much hoping we can get this done by the deadline so that we can come into legal compliance. I have read the whole AG opinion, which is daunting at first, but once you break it down, it's okay.
I was
Actually, I'd love to
daunted.
see that too. I mean, I may be daunted, but could somebody forward that to me?
Sure.
Okay.
Jonathan, yeah, that would be good. Take the opposite of a sleeping pill, Steve.
Okay.
And Jonathan, if I was the only one who assured you that it's not hugely heavy lifting, you know what my assurances are worth. So I hope you got that from.
I'm assuring too, so there you go.
I'm
Okay.
sure the staff, I'm looking forward to working with the staff. I think it'll work out just fine.
Two other things. There's not really much update on William Street, so we won't dwell on that unless Emily, did you have anything at this point? I know we're right in a short window here of.
No, we have the questions posted, Q&A posted, and they're due tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Okay.
So hope for some good responses. It was a quick turnaround, so yeah.
I
Do you
see
have a
that the
sense of
select
how
board-
many are planning to respond, or no idea?
We had at the site visit, I believe 3 different groups. So we're hoping at least they all apply or respond.
Okay.
One was BCDC, another brought a whole team of examiners and inspectors, I think, and went through the property from top to bottom. And then Emily tells me they followed up with a rash of specific questions about the property too. So
We got a lot of questions,
yeah,
so we did our best to answer all of them.
So that's all we know right now. I see that it's on the select board's agenda again for an executive session. I'm not sure, given that the deadline for final submissions is what, tomorrow afternoon, you said?
Yeah, too.
Yeah, what they'll do late afternoon, but in any event, there's something I wanted to turn to. We were thinking for a while that the time pressure for getting encumbered funds released from the trust, where we're over encumbered and only had 900,000+, was really very compressed because of the possibility of William Street needing more. That's turned out nicely not to be the case. The 933,000 was as of May. There are 2 potential near-term increases to that balance, which I've spent a bit of time tracking down. One was more productive than the other, although we need to begin a discussion tonight about the one that wasn't productive. And that has to do with the accrual of interest. I'm going to be quick about this, but we've got about 8.5 million in the trust. Even though it's mostly encumbered, it's accruing interest. And I was thinking it's got to be accruing at least 3 or 4%, which would mean several $100,000 a year, right? $300,000 a year, perhaps. So I checked with the finance department and also spoke with Bernard, and was a bit surprised to find out that our trust, which we are the trustees and fiduciaries of, is only getting 1% annual rate of return on our 8.5 million. The reason is that the applicable criteria are that the trust may need money immediately at any given point. Therefore, it's being held in account that is immediately withdrawable, the whole thing. The William Street surprise, even something that quick, we know enough about that even that we would have at least 90 days to come up with money, and certainly not the whole 8.5 million or nowhere near it. And 90-day risk-free money in treasury bills currently yields 4%, which is 4 times as much as we're getting, because the assumption is made we might need all the money tomorrow. So it occurred to me, and we won't spend but a few minutes now kicking this subject off. And again, I did discuss this briefly with Bernard. As trustees of the fund, we have never even discussed anything about the investment side of the money we're fiduciaries for. We've only really focused on the policy side of how to deploy it responsibly. So I'd like to, again, we have no power on either side, but I do think that we are positioned that we should be thinking about the timing and the risk, and a proper investment policy that we could recommend through the select board to the finance department. So let me stop there for now and see what you all think about the prospect of our taking this up in future meetings.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, makes sense to me to look into it.
Yeah. Is anybody else as surprised as I was?
I'm a little surprised and, disappointed that the treasurer isn't, more on top of that, but I'm glad you are on top of it now, and we should absolutely follow up.
Yeah. And I don't think, I'm not sure what the history is. We'll learn more about that as well, but without a lot more dialogue, perhaps it's not an unreasonable assumption that we might need the money extremely quickly, but maybe we can get into some specific timeframes. Okay, good. We'll reserve that for some future discussion.
But we're not going to buy high-tech stocks, right? We're not doing that.
No. I think it's got to be, whatever the prudential rules are. And like I say, risk-free 90 days is 4%, even if it might come down a little.
Of course, yep.
And so, anyway, the second prospective boost to our $900,000 balance that I inquired a little further about is free cash. And I found that the appropriation process, and it is appropriated through the annual town meeting in May, the free cash allocation under the formula to the housing trust, which now can no longer be sidelined for something else, is over $1.6 million. And last year, on the timing of that, it didn't actually hit the trust's balance sheet, I believe, Emily, until early in this calendar year, right? We don't need to know the exact.
Yeah, I believe so.
So I spoke with Melissa Goff, Deputy Town Administrator who handles all the budgeting, and she confirmed the appropriation and the commitment, and was somewhat aware of the William Street situation, but indicated that if the trust were to need money, and in any event, it doesn't have to be William Street related, it could, and our deadline on William Street for the actual money of any sort would be December 1st, not September 2nd. We need the commitment document, September 2nd, that it would be there. So we are in a lot better shape without needing the immediate release of the Walnut High committed funds than we were thinking a week ago. Any comment on that?
I'll second what Jonathan said, that it's good that you have your finger on these things. It sounds like little missing parts here and there, but someone needs to have their finger on it to make it follow through.
Yeah, it's all, the William Street just triggered the whole process though, so otherwise I can't say that I would have been mulling over this before I go to sleep at night. So the The last item, again, and this is something we don't need to vote on, and I don't think it's going to be long at all, so we're going to do a lot better than 1 hour. Is in the MBTA Communities Act, some members, you may remember, we were a little bit unhappy at one point because we kind of got bypassed when the inclusionary zoning was changed. And the cash opportunity was removed for the Harvard Street corridor. So we departed from our longtime policy of having a townwide policy. There were some problems with that because by not having the cash option and the kind of formula we were dealing with, for the very small projects, an absolute requirement of on-site, let's say it was a 4 or 5 unit building, was going to mean that the percentage was going to be 20 or 25% of the total, and it was going to be totally infeasible to do anything. I'm not speaking out of school because Paul Warren kind of surprised me in the open public select board meeting the other night of several weeks ago. He said to everybody that was a mistake, and it should be put back the way it was with the what would have been no exception and with the optional payments. So we, as the overseers of inclusionary zoning, have the opportunity, and I would certainly be inclined, unless you all have some concerns or questions, and I hope there are questions, to make that reverse tweak to the inclusionary zoning bylaw. Timing to be determined, but it's extremely easy.
Well, I had heard that too, maybe from you, Roger, a few days ago, or possibly Jonathan, but
Yeah,
I think it's
I think
good.
I've heard it from someone else, so good.
Because I mean, I always viewed that as almost like a poison pill in the Harvard Street zoning that would discourage development by requiring on-site units in what would be relatively small projects, I think. So I think this is a useful change.
I think it's
Mike?
fine to do, but I think the chance of having such small projects is so slight that I think we should do it, but I think we're not going to see small projects.
Well, the zoning doesn't allow for bigger projects. That's the problem.
But 4 or 5, we're not going to see 4 or 5 unit projects, I think, to do. I mean, I think anyone who's going to do a project is going to assemble parcels to do something larger.
Well,
I think there's no reason not to do this, but I don't think it's going to result in a lot of housing being built.
No,
honestly.
I think you're right, and frankly, Mike, I think a lot of other people have come to realize, and actually, when I reread the housing production plan, preparing for the comp plan discussion at 7 o'clock tonight, and it basically says in there, in so many words, 5 and 6 story buildings are, in most situations, perhaps necessary for something to be financially feasible.
Yes, I agree.
Referencing the 40Bs. So, Mike, it won't create a lot of on-site units for sure, but we'll get money in the trust fund. So
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason not to do it. I'm just
yeah, Alex.
one example, haven't we just had something green, one Green Street to smaller units, I mean building size? That would be opposite to the large size.
Yeah, there have been, like, I'm working on a payment right now for, I think 320 Tappan, that's only 4 units, so they are, I don't know about in the Harvard zone, but developers are doing large, as we discussed in the past, large units, smaller projects.
Yeah, Green Street is a pretty big building, but with only 5 units, as I recall,
Yeah.
duplex units that are on the market for, I don't know, $3 million range or something like that.
Carol, one question that came up, which I'd be interested in your judgment on. Everything in the way of zoning, especially zoning for housing and development, these days will automatically have the question, is it comp plan? Does it rise to the level of a comp plan need to address or not? And while Harvard Street may need to have a more comprehensive look to see why or how to make some development feasible, I wanted to ask you, or maybe confirm, that something of this level of tweaking back to what was ought not have to be delayed by it being defined as comp planning, the stuff of comp planning.
I wouldn't think so. And that's what I would say if it was discussed at the meeting. I
Yeah.
can't promise you anything, from, if in fact Paul has said what he said, that indicates where the leadership is as well. So but I can't obviously promise,
Right,
anything.
right. No, I know you
Or
can't. but
represent
you're-
anything.
You're our nexus, so that's one kind of a predictable question. Other than that, that's
Well,
all
can
I've
I just want to add to that. I mean, I agree with that completely. I was really opposed to that element of the Harvard Street corridor. I literally had breakfast with Paul Warren and argued with him for 45 minutes about it and never made any progress. So I'm delighted that he's come around to a different view. I think it ought to be on the warrant for this fall. I mean, there's no reason for a little tweak like that to wait for anything. And probably that's a call to Paul to make sure he agrees with that. But that's my thinking.
So
Yeah,
this is in
I-
the zoning, so it would have to be approved by town meeting, right?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, and it would be a 2/3 threshold, and so the only reason that I've heard, and it wouldn't be that the comp planning committee would vote it down or resist it, it's that some of the vocal grassroots that might want to be able to resist up to 1/3 of town meeting, might. But I agree. To me, we ought to go. It's very easy, and we ought to go for it this fall. If depending on how Kara feels as well. So
Is there an argument that this could come under the 50% majority through housing choice because it will facilitate the production of more housing? It'll take away what is actually a barrier?
I don't think so, Steve. I got into this pretty deeply with at one point, thinking that anything that would ease up the production of housing was supposed to be what housing choice was all about. But Jonathan Simpson at one point gave us chapter and verse about the criteria for qualifying for the simple majority under housing choice, and that it has to be specifically in the zoning proposal changing of actual metrics.
Okay.
And this wouldn't do that. So
I mean, there is a constituency that loves the idea of affordable housing having to be on site. Like sounds good. It just, in this
I know.
case, I think
Well, I
works.
think that constituency was led by Paul. And I think if Paul has a change of heart, that ought to
Good
bring
point.
some or most of that constituency along. So
I think you're right, actually.
So I'll check in with or Emily, you can, or both of us with Kara or Iwana. It's we don't usually initiate any kind of zoning change without full assent by our folks in town hall. So okay, 5:38. How'd we do?
good. Can I just make a short, have a minute?
Absolutely,
for a short
Jonathan.
report? Just so folks know, I appreciate that everyone approved at the meeting, the last meeting, the resolution about the Affordable Housing Overlay District report. As you know, one of the things we were doing was to refer it to the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. And they took up that idea rather quickly, and I would say even abruptly. So I got a message, just at the end of last week, maybe it was Thursday, about whether I would be willing to present that to the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee tonight at their meeting at 7 o'clock, and I'm doing that. And they also invited Roger to make a presentation on the housing production plan, also at 7 o'clock. Or I guess Roger's presentation will go first, and then there will probably be Q&A, and then I'll follow up with the AHUD, and there will probably be Q&A. And as I understand it, Carol may know more, that is the entirety of their agenda tonight. So they are focusing very much on housing, and it's, I think, a very good sign that they're asking, not just for copies of the reports to read in the dark of night, but actually for presentations and opportunities. So I thought the HAB would be interested in that.
Carol, you've seen both Jonathan's and my anticipated slide presentations. I'm doubtful whether I or Jonathan, we exchanged a message earlier, whether either of us can crowd our slides into 10 minutes each. So if it's the whole agenda, I'm wondering whether we might get a little bit of latitude and get 15 minutes rather than 10. I know you don't call the shots on that, but
I would, aim for it, try.
Yeah.
I think both presentations are terrific, and you've got the people who are attending tonight, you've got a friendly audience within the steering committee.
Okay.
Could you take either one of them and deliver it in 10 minutes?
I think you could do the housing production plan.
Yeah.
Just because you don't have to go into any detail of any of the things and say you can come back. I
Yeah.
think the AHOD's more complicated, right? You've really got to build that step by step in terms of the analysis. Jonathan, I think you did a great job on that presentation.
Yeah.
I had
And
thought I
housing
had
production
15
plan's been
I had
around for over
15
a year.
slides. So
Jonathan?
I just saying, I thought I was going to have 15 minutes, so I have, I think, 15 slides. So I'm going to be moving fast, or
Yeah.
I'll find ways to skip over stuff. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out maybe if we can ask at the beginning of the meeting and see if we get a little bit of leeway. So any other business? Thank you, everybody.
When is our next meeting?
Our next meeting is on my birthday, August the 6th.
Okay.
HAB meeting / Roger's birthday party.
I'm not
Alrighty.
fishing for anything. I don't want any counting of candles.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank
Meeting
you.
is
All
adjourned.
right. See you guys. I'm going to attend that CP meeting just to see how it goes. So good
Wonderful.
luck,
Thank you.
Roger and Jonathan.
Great.
Thanks for doing that.
Great.
See you shortly.
See you guys later.